invented direct debits. And how did that happen?
Yes, I suppose it is really true. Yeah, that's right, I did.
And how?
Well, I was chatting to a friend in the company I was working for, and we thought this is ridiculous, that you don't have the opportunity for doing things which we now call direct debit. So you couldn't do that in the 1960s or any time before.
Why did you call it direct debit?
I began with the name Automatic Debit Transfer, ADT. And then during the discussion, we thought it was good to shorten that. And secondly, the word direct was more direct and was a popular word at the time. Many services were called direct, and of course it implied modernness and speed and lack of complication.
There's probably quite a lot of disintermediation going on as you cut out this long chain between manufacturer and consumer.
Of course.
For payment processing and also on the fraud detection side, ISO 20022 is probably the best conceivable layer that we have today, and is an incredibly great asset in achieving the G20 targets.
What's the current state of cross-border payments globally, and how's it evolved over the last 5 years?
Yeah, thank you, Zinnia. So you mentioned the number. It's such a big number, it's difficult to recall. 330 trillion by 2032, correct? Right?
Yeah, I've heard larger numbers as well.
So today we sit around 200 trillion, according to FXC Intelligence 2024 data. And what we've seen, what we have observed over the last years is really an acceleration in terms of payments growth. Obviously, we live now in a post-pandemic era, so really saw an acceleration of the digitalization of payments, but also resiliency when it comes to global trade, despite the geopolitical landscape. So for the next 5 years, we expect a slowdown. According to the same Institute FXC Intelligence, we're talking about 6% compound annual growth rate for the next 5 years, which will get us to still these big numbers. So I think there's still some interesting growth to capture, and maybe to last. Maybe going back on the five last years on the SWIFT network, we've still witnessed double-digit growth on our traffic data. Obviously, not only payments; it's across payment, securities, trade, and FX. But that's a bit what we have witnessed over the last couple of years.
I've often spoken about the need to think deeper than just COP and VOP. And you've started to unpack there the concept of focusing on other indicators of fraud. You maybe started to mention the role of anonymised data fields. Just dig a bit deeper, Viv, in terms of the impact these extra indicators of fraud might have on false positives.
As said, the Dutch banks are now using the first set, just a small set, and we see great results already. You can think of some 20 to 50% in reduction of false positives, which is of course great for the consumers, because it's very let's say, they call it in the industry friction, but as a person, if your transaction is blocked, that's very annoying.
It's not friction, it's, from that point of view, it's a brick wall, isn't it? My payment won't go.
Yes, and you have to contact the bank, and the bank has to assure that you are you, and etc., etc. So that takes a lot of time and frustration, because first of all, most people think they did something wrong. I just have been doing some building. That means I have to do some higher payments to companies I've never paid before. So those are typically transactions that are a higher risk. the better the information the bank has, the better it can support the customers by pinpointing the fraud and not the normal, let's say the normal unusual transactions.
So you've taunted me or tempted me around extra indicators there. I'm going to make a guess. I think you mean things like VAT numbers, company house data, that sort of stuff. What type of indicators would make a difference in reducing false positives and being sure that the right person gets the money?
Well, I'm sure as you have a very interesting podcast, there were also people listening in that I don't want to make more knowledgeable than they are. Yes, let's take that VAT number, for instance, or the company house number. With that, you can supply the, let's say, the payer bank with some additional information, for instance, the industry the company is working in. And then suddenly it becomes clear that, let's say, a chocolate retailer is now paying a concrete plant, which of course is highly unusual. Theoretically it could happen, but in practice, no. And then we also go to a next step. Confirmation of PE, verification of PE is first of all intended to prevent fraud, but it also helps in money laundering. The example I just gave could very well be a money launderer that wants to do the transaction because it's busy obfuscating where the origin from the money is, so the money laundering. If the banks then call them, they'll confirm that they want to do a transaction. Yes, it's correct, it's no fraud, it's money laundering. This kind of information helps the bank both to detect fraud and money laundering.